Alrighty, guys. Welcome back to the Natty News Daily podcast. We are here with Gianluca Farrays. I say your name right, right?
Paralyzed, but yeah, pretty
Farrays.
much.
I had practice with it. I already met you, so I don't get a pass. Don't give me a pass for that. But we've added to Mr. America. This young man has a very awesome story, great physique. So why don't you just start with a brief introduction, who you are, how old you are, whatever miscellaneous information you want to provide, and then we'll get into the weeds of, the meat of the conversation.
Okay. My name is Gianluca Farrays. I train out of Northern Virginia, and I'm 21 years old. I've done about like four natural bodybuilding competitions, all classic physique, and I've slowly like worked my way up and won a couple shows, lost a couple, but always got a little bit better every time. Um, I only started competing of April of 2022, and yeah, no, I'm just right now I'm just coasting, taking a little break from competing because it is such a, you know, hard lifestyle to just only be focused on one thing all the time. And I'm just trying to be like, mellowing out, being human again.
Without the stress of dieting for a show and getting into show competition, right?
Yeah, just living like a human again, but also always training hard. Never stops.
Oh yeah, that's year round, man. And all the food fuels it, right? So it's
Oh
growth.
yeah, it's great, so great.
Yeah, so I'm fully on board with that approach. Um, so 21 years old, that's with the physique you've built, that's crazy. How long have you been training for?
I started in October of 2018. And at first, I did sort of like a bodybuilding approach, but once I found out what powerlifting was, I did do a long extent of just ego lifting for like a long time until like my body couldn't really handle it anymore. And then we just ended up falling back to bodybuilding and taking it like fully serious and just giving it everything we got.
Gotcha. So you would have been 15, right around 15 at the time then in high school when you first
Yeah,
started.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what got you into the gym then?
So
Were you playing sports or?
no, so with my situation, I had an autoimmune disease. Like as soon as I turned 15, I literally I just became paralyzed. Like I lost everything I had. So with that came a lot of sort of like mental, you know, blockades we have to kind of work over. And I was in a terrible spot in my life. My confidence was shot. I would skip school all the time. I was not doing great.
Was that
Put it that way.
before the disease really ramped up? Like, so why don't you give me some background on that? Because I'm no expert on it. What disease you have again? And you know,
Okay. So in November of 2017, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called Guillain-Barré syndrome. And what that does is it slowly deteriorates your entire body. Like my body was fighting a disease that it just didn't have. So my nerves were starting to shut down. I was getting weaker and weaker, like over a span of like 3 days
yeah,
until, eventually half my face went paralyzed. And then from that point, I was like, we should probably go to, hospital or something. And
yeah,
yeah, so after getting to the hospital, they kept me without like eating or drinking, to make sure all the tests come back correct.
yeah.
And that same night, I was literally immobile. Like I could not move at all. Like
So it
I lost.
escalated quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Damn.
started with just tingles in my hands and my feet, and I've always been like a really anxious kid, and I just kind of thought I was just
Just a little
nervous about
extra
stuff.
anxious. Yeah.
Yeah, but nah, it was a lot more going on, which I had no idea. But yeah, that same night, they eventually did a spinal tap, and like I could barely even move, but all I could remember doing is like trying to reach back and like tell them to stop, but I had like no like nothing, like I had nothing, like no power to like
No
actually.
ability to move. That's got to be like
Yeah,
terrifying. That's like, I mean, that's like something that's out of a nightmare. Like
yeah,
to like be able to be conscious and not be able to physically like.
yeah, yeah, it was a lot. But after they found out what I had, um we got into a treatment called IVIG, which I also found out it's just borrowed immune cells. So I
Okay.
got someone else's immune like cells to kind of help me recover. But it is such a like drastic treatment that my parents had to sign like a form saying like if I die, it's not on them. Like it can kill
Wow.
me. The treatment is like really, really strong, but it's either that or stay paralyzed or just eventually die off from that. So they had no other choice really but to sign that, and
Wow.
we started it. They did constantly check my like respiratory health because my nerves in my like my head and my throat were shutting down and I couldn't like swallow. So I would have to like kind of like lean back and like sip things and like let it go down on its own and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, first day of treatment, obviously it's not gonna just happen like fix it overnight. It was getting worse. Like I was just feeling terrible. The IV that they gave me,
Were you
we
able
got
to
a
talk too? Because you had difficulty controlling your
so
eating
I
and
could
drinking.
yeah, I could kind of speak. I could talk. It's just that like my face was like paralyzed. Like I was like talking
Yeah.
out the side of my mouth and stuff. Um and yeah, the treatment was rough. It was really rough. It like at one point one night it felt like someone was like sitting on my chest and I was like close to having like a whole heart attack and stuff. And they actually took a step back and like gave it to me like at a lot slower rate so I could handle it. Um, but yeah, like a day or two after that, we started to do like a little bit of physical therapy, just kind of like getting my hands, in my everything kind of working together
Yeah.
because I literally had to relearn everything. Like I had nothing. It's like being a baby again. So yeah, took some steps and we ended up, getting better. I took my first steps after like 5 days of being paralyzed with like, obviously some
Yeah.
crutches, but I was able to like just kind of like stand on my own. And yeah, no, just kept going one day at a time, man.
I mean, that's a lot like that transpired within like what the span of a couple weeks, less maybe less than that.
So leading up to like getting to the hospital, it probably took like 2 weeks. It was like a slow, like,
Okay, so it was 2 weeks leading up to it, and then okay.
yeah. It was like I felt sick. I always like,
Yeah.
something like I had recently lost my grandpa at the time. So I was just not like I was really depressed and
Yeah.
I would go to doctors and they would just kind of write it off as like a depression thing. And they're like, yeah, nah, it's probably nothing serious. So they would just give me some sort of like anti-anxiety, antidepressant, and that ended up like really pushing me over the edge. Like with my nervous system, it could not handle it. And after taking it one day, that's when I woke up that next day, uh,
In
where I
your
couldn't move my
face.
body. Yeah,
Damn, that's scary.
yeah. Tell me
Were
about
there
it.
any indications? Is it genetic or
No, no, it's just super random. Like it's a super rare disease.
yeah?
A lot of recent cases have been coming up from vaccines. Vaccines will have some sort of effect where that can cause Guillain-Barré or CIDP. Um, but yeah, that's all I've really seen. Besides, I'm pretty sure it was
Dude,
just like,
no, like like oh, my grandma had this, and maybe like nothing. Just
yeah, no, it was just out of the blue. And
wow.
you know, my family's never had to deal with anything like that, so it was just
That'd be terrifying for them too.
yeah, yeah. But honestly, it made our bond a lot stronger. Um,
Yeah.
Having like, the chance of me just being gone at any moment, it really like changed everything for the better, for the better.
I'm sure that put things into perspective, how quickly you can lose function. And I mean, a lot of times we just go through life taking things for granted, right? Our form and function.
You have no idea, man. One day, like second night of treatment, I laid in bed and I just cried. I was like, I'm dying. Like I'm gonna die. Like I'm not getting any better. Like I'm losing even more mobility. Like I can't do anything, dude. Like doctors would come in and try to test my reflexes, like bang on my knee, and they were just banging it for nothing. Like nothing would
Nothing.
happen. And I at one point I was okay with dying. I was like, wow, this is it. I was like 14, 15 years of my life, I've done nothing. nothing. And I was like, if I ever get the chance to get out of this, I'm gonna do something with my life. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna accomplish something because up until this point, I've just wasted, being a kid. I mean, like I was just being a kid, like living a kid's life. But it definitely like aged me like a lot.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, with that,
So
when I got
yeah,
out,
yeah. Once you can start getting the physical therapy, why don't? Yeah, I cut you off, and
no, no, you're good. Once, obviously I took my first steps, a day or two after that, we kept on doing like, physical therapy, getting like the body working, like everything. And I got out of the hospital like a week after being like in there. And obviously I had enough strength to kind of stand on my own, but I could not like walk for like long distances and stuff. So I was like in a wheelchair, like for like at least like a month after I got out the hospital. And I was so embarrassed like going to school because I would go there and people were happy to see me okay, but I could feel their pity. I could feel them looking down on me, being like, "Wow, like I feel so bad for you." And it drove me crazy. Like I could not stand it. I would skip so much school just because I like dreaded being around other people and having to like, get out of class early, like wheelchair everywhere and stuff.
you
And
didn't
like,
want to be that guy. Yeah.
now that guy, I was just some normal cool kid, before all that. Like everyone, like they didn't really know me, but like they were like, yo, like that's a cool guy over there. But now like I'm a guy in a wheelchair, like out of nowhere and stuff. Um, so yeah, with that came so much like mental uh things that I had to get over. I was so like self-conscious, so like anxious. I couldn't defend myself. I live somewhere where it's a beautiful city, but the people here are a little rougher. And I would see it like other people would just get caught up and like beat up and stuff, and like that was normal out here. And I
Yeah.
couldn't defend myself. Like I couldn't confidently do any of that. So, after watching a Rocky movie, that motivated me to start like my journey of just taking it like one day at a time. I was like, my first goal was to like just kind of jump, right? I was like the week out of the hospital, where I could barely stand. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to jump, and I tried with everything I had. I was so motivated, and I literally my feet, it's like they were glued to the floor. Like I could not do it. And that was like my first like real challenge. I was like, all right, I'm gonna be able to jump again. Like that's the first thing I'm gonna work towards. And yeah, eventually I did that after some time, and then I was able to like start jogging and stuff. Outside of the hospital, I did go to physical therapy a lot, and they were kind of teaching me how to walk normally again. Stuff that you don't think about like day to day. You're just like how to like take each step, and it's like it's something that you have to be mindful of. And but yeah, with all that, I still had a lot of mental problems. And my school, since they saw I was skipping so much school, they assigned me like a counselor. And he would like help me out. He would talk to me about a lot of things. But I noticed like he was kind of like a fit guy, and I was like, oh, I was at one point I was interested. I was like, hey, it's like you think you could like show me a thing or two about like working out? I want to like look good, but I have no idea how to get into it. So that's where it all sprouted.
Who knew where
He,
that would go? That one question would go.
oh man, I'm still grateful for that guy, Jason Munoz. If you see this, you changed my life for the better, man. You're the best, man. And yeah, he would stay after school with me. We would be in the weight room like 1 or 2 hours, like after school was over, and he ran me through hitting every individual body part like one day at a time, and kind of understanding like the shoulder has like the three heads. You want to make sure you don't neglect any of them. The chest has like the three parts and stuff. Biceps, triceps. It's all pretty much the same. On the legs, you just like flip flop it. And he took me through that. And after like a month or two working with him, I signed up to a Gold's Gym, and I took everything he taught me plus some YouTube, and I like started just working out on my own. And I had the honor of getting a whole bunch of like free pizza and like subs and stuff. So as I was like a teenager, like lifting all this heavy weight, and like, progressively overloading and stuff, I was eating like a maniac, dude. I was eating so much food and I was responding to lifting so well because I had the diet to promote like growth and, that sort of thing. And yeah, that eventually crashed. I can't eat like I used to when I was like a teenager. Yeah, my stomach cannot handle that sort of thing anymore. But yeah, eventually I met my brother-in-law, and he was like a West Side barbell like powerlifting sort of like just like freaking like strength addict, and I admired that. I saw him deadlift 500 pounds one day, and I was like, I'm gonna do that one day. I was like, that's my new goal. Like I'm gonna get to that point where I'll be able to lift 500 pounds one day. And yeah, sure enough, with his help and some other guys in my gym, I eventually, hit all these goals that I set for myself when I was like 16. And before I even turned 18, I hit all these like numbers where I was like, wow, what now? you know?
And what was because I gotta imagine because you talked about not that it necessarily matters, but the perception of people around you of you, like when you're in, basically a disabled in a wheelchair, right? And then all of a sudden now you're this 16-year-old jack dude deadlifting 500 pounds. Like,
Yeah.
what was that like for you, and what did you see? Like, yeah.
Um, for me, it was a complete change. It didn't happen overnight, obviously, but I was like that one weird kid with the gallon in class. I was that one freaking eating on like protein bars all day, and people didn't really start to catch on until like I was actually like making
Because it
super
happens slowly, right? It's not like, all of a sudden one day later you're jacked. It's like
no no
it's a process, right?
yeah, like my first goal was like, yo, I need abs. I was like, I want to be able to see my abs one day. And I trained so hard. I was training like 2 times a day for like weeks. Like, I was super overtrained, like starving myself, doing like so much cardio, trying to like wear like sweatsuits and stuff, and I was just doing like way too much. But after I finally had abs, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna post this. Like I'm gonna start like posting my progress and stuff. And yeah, that's when people started to like catch on, and they were like, yo, dude, like we see you, But like I was still like some skinny kid and like a t-shirt and stuff, but they saw what I was putting out there, and that was cool. People came to me for advice and stuff, which crazy. Same people that were like, man, I feel so bad for you. They're like, wow, dude, like, can you help me? Can you help? Like, what did you do to do this? Like, just keep going, man.
That's amazing.
You know
That's
what I
amazing.
mean?
At what point would you say you were completely beyond the disease that, because at a certain point, like, because obviously it progressed, but then like you had to progress from to just to walking and to moving and in the gym, like within what period of time would you say like you're like up to fully normal function?
Okay. Um, I would say, uh, eventually I gained enough strength to stop using the wheelchair, and I was using like a walker, like
Yeah.
I think people use and stuff. And I still couldn't like walk for long distances without feeling like worn out
Yeah.
for like a long time. And it wasn't honestly until like 6 months after getting out of the hospital where I could like walk on my own normally, and I wouldn't,
Okay.
need to take breaks and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I would say like about 6 months is where I felt pretty solid.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I guess before we jump into the competing side, is there any risk of reoccurrence, or is that something that is possible, or
Yeah. Um, while I was in the hospital, the doctor that was helping me out, she was like, yo, with this treatment, like this IVIG, you cannot get any vaccines for like at least a year. Um, and I was like, yo, yeah, like no vaccines at all. Like I needed my tetanus shot that year. I was like, yo, screw that, dude. I'm not risking it again. And I always had like this like super fear in my head of like, yo, I cannot get any vaccines at all. And recently I did need to, get my vaccines renewed and stuff. And I called her And she was like, yeah, it's only a year, which I completely like just blurred that out of my head. I was like, yo, just never in my life.
Never, never, no rest. That I would never go through that again. Right?
No. Yeah. So yeah, honestly, it was more psychological. I feel like that's what like happened
Yeah.
because it was my brain was stressed, dude. Like it was it couldn't handle like losing a close family member, and at the same time I was starting high school, and I was just all at once. And honestly, my I feel like I did it to myself. Like there's no like root cause of me getting it, if that makes sense. So yeah.
So yeah, I guess do you still kind of blame yourself, or are you kind of
Yeah, yeah. There's nothing else. Like there's nowhere else to point besides like, yeah, I kind of. If you tell yourself like you're dying, you're gonna feel like it, and it's that confirmation bias of like, yo, I'm losing it. And after a certain point, I broke. I broke. I could not handle the anxiety. My hands and feet would go numb. My teeth would go numb, and I would just feel like freaking like like you like something fell asleep. Like like your body part was falling asleep and stuff, and I was like just I was not accepting like anything. And it was yeah, that's honestly what probably did it to me. So nowadays I try to prioritize a clean mental health, a happy life, a very grateful, gracious life, because there's no reason to feel otherwise. I'm very far past that.
what would you advise as someone that's been through it? Someone that feels themselves spiraling downward because, as you kind of implied, it spirals, right? It snowballs on itself. What would you advise to somebody that's going through something physically and having the mental side, you know, spiral out of control?
Okay. So if it's mental, usually it's things that have happened before in your life, right? Things that you get caught up on, that you can't let go, and that you you know, let it be who you are. You know what I mean? Like you believe that you are that bad version of you that you have in your head, right? That's usually where a lot of it stems from, or stuff that you've done, and you truly believe that you're terrible. So you tell yourself that, you believe it. You're like, yo, I hate myself. I can't do this. Like, I'm just like, I'm not worth it. Like, I'm worthless, and honestly, man, my best advice if you're in that headspace is leave it in yesterday, man. Leave it behind you. Today is a new day. You have to make it a decision in your life to better yourself. It's not gonna accidentally happen. You're not gonna accidentally just love yourself. You have to. It's a process, man. It's a super long process, but you have to ask yourself. I did a whole lot of meditation. I did a whole lot of just things where I was alone in my own head, and all those bad thoughts that came to me, I didn't ignore them. I saw what they were saying. I listened, but I believe that I can be better. You can get over this. You can do it. Right? Once you tell yourself that you can do something, you will never be able to do it. But if you just set a little goal, the the feeling of accomplishing a tiny goal every single day, it you're only gonna get better, right? The only time you're not gonna get better is if you just stop, right? If you just give up, and you know you have such a you don't know when you're gonna like die, like
Yeah.
that's a hard message to get through if you've never gone through anything or lost anyone really close to you. But you can lose everything today, so why dread things from yesterday? Why ruin another day of your life that you cannot get back over something that's behind you? Today is a new day, and today is the day that we're gonna get better. We're gonna be better, and we're gonna do what we really want to do, man. So yeah. And if you know struggle with Guillain-Barré syndrome or any degenerative disease where you feel yourself slowly becoming paralyzed, obviously like go to the hospital first. Let the doctors handle it with medicine, because that's
Sure.
not going to
Yeah.
fix itself.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
like that's important. You can't just be like, all right, yeah, I'm good, bro. Like like that's not gonna happen. So after you get out of it, it's gonna be hard process. It's supposed to be. Like you can't just get everything back overnight, right? But one day at a time, man, one step at a time. The motto is we are turtles. You know, we're gonna go slow. We're gonna go slowly, but we're going. You know, we're slowly making that progress. We're slowly getting better. And yeah, just literally take it one day at a time. Try to be a little bit better, 0.1% better every single day. And trust me, one day you'll look back and be like, wow, I've come so far. And just keep going, man. The job's never done, ever.
Yeah, so strive to make it snowball in the other direction, just
Exactly.
little by little.
Yes,
Love
sir.
it. Love it. So on to a less grave topic. Um, what spurred you? We're jumping forward. What spurred you to look at competing in bodybuilding? It's God, I was gonna lead you with that question, but I'm just gonna let it be open.
Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier, I did do for a long time I trained more like a power lifter, right? I did that.
Yep.
But as I was walking in school one day with like a freaking tank top, the wrestling coach pulled me aside and he was like, "Yo," he was like, "You play football?" I'm like, "Nah, football sucks, dude." He was like, "You ever thought about wrestling?" I'm like, "I like MMA." I was like, he was like, "You should come after school, try it out." And I did. I wrestled for like my junior year of high school. I started and I got beat up, dude. Like I thought it was like dog freaking hot shit because I was like some strong guy. Like I can handle it, but no, no, it is so humbling. It is extremely humbling,
So you got
and
humbled
my
again.
body, oh, it literally never stops, dude. I swear. Like you're never like in a place where you're like, yeah, until whatever. But yeah, so I wrestled and on top of powerlifting, like at the same time, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, by my senior year, obviously COVID hit. Excuse me. COVID hit, and we couldn't really wrestle and stuff. Like everything got canceled, everything closed down, couldn't work out. So I was stuck at home, just like doing like ninja training, like just jumping around, like doing like lunges all over the fields and stuff. And I eventually got into my senior year of wrestling season, and I was simultaneously powerlifting, like lifting a lot of weight, just way more, like no plan, no nothing, just like yo 405, load it up right now, while also trying to lose weight. So these things do not combine. They don't attract. So eventually, I like hurt my back so bad when I was like 18, my senior year, and I got to a point where I couldn't even stand up on my own, let alone wrestle or lift weights. So I had to stop. I literally stopped working out for like 2 months. I had to drop out of the wrestling season my senior year. Yeah. And I gained so much pride from finally like getting a little bit better in wrestling, and I had to just give it up. And same thing with powerlifting. I joined this gym that was like made for powerlifters, like and bodybuilders and stuff. And I see all these guys just throwing around those kilo plates like it's nothing. And I was like, I'm so injured that I can't do any of that. Right. And I was so lost for like such a long time. I had no idea like what to do with my life because I needed like some sort of something to train for, because that's where I
yeah,
found you make the most progress. If you just work out, obviously you're gonna look better, but after a certain point, for me at least, I needed something to train for, to set a goal and attack it with everything I have. And after watching Pumping Iron, that 1971 Olympia documentary with Arnold, uh, I saw him on stage. I saw him hitting those poses. I saw the crowds going crazy, and as I'm watching it, I'm literally getting goosebumps, and it's something in me like yelling. It's like you need to do that. You need to get on that stage. You need to. That's your next thing. That's give it all you got. So months after that, I signed up for my first show. No coach, nothing. My whole thing was like, yo, I'm gonna stop eating pizza. Start doing cardio every now and then. Whatever. 5 weeks out, 4 weeks out. I'm like, yeah, no coach. I need it. Like, I'm just looking at YouTube for posing videos. Like, just terrible, terrible. And come 3 weeks out for my first ever show. Uh, there's a guy that I would see a lot at the gym. And he was like, "Yo, you're looking good, bro." He was like, "You losing some weight?" I'm actually like, "Yeah." I have my first show coming up in like 3 weeks. And he's like, oh, nice, nice. He's like, who's your coach? I'm like, nah, I don't have one. I feel like I know my body, like, I think I know what I'm doing, man. And he was like, I used to compete and stuff, and it's really important to have someone, else in there, like kind of like guiding you. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't really have that much money right now. Like, I can't really like afford to do any of that. And he was like, you should go talk to that guy like over there. And he points to this guy on the stairmaster, just huge back, like this freaking monster. And I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to him. I was like not gonna talk to him at all. But eventually I went throughout my leg workout, and that same guy that I was talking to earlier brought my now coach to me and introduced us. Like, kind of was like, yo, here, exchange information, tell him what you got going on, because this guy is gonna help you. Like, this guy can't help you. And you know, I told him my situation. I told him where I was, how far out I was, and he was like, "Yeah, take my number." And that same day, he, without you know, asking me for anything, without doing anything, he just gave me a plan to follow. And he gave me like a workout plan. He's like, "Do this amount of cardio, and this, and this." And after 3 weeks, he taught me my posing. He taught me how to hit my poses like a pro. He is a men's physique IFBB pro, but he did medal in classic physique for a while. So he taught me how to hit it just like the old school guys and stuff. And yeah, 3 weeks later, I do my first show. I'm just some skinny kid because I did a terrible, terrible game plan like leading up to it, and I took fifth. You know, but the thing I was most recognized for was my posing. They were like, how did you learn how to pose like this? And it's like, my coach, man, he helped me so much. And yeah, that first show was in the books. It really sparked that fire, and I was like, I gotta get that one back. I was like, I gotta do another one. So from April, eventually to November, I studied all 1970s, 1980s bodybuilders that were like the best in posing. Like Bob Francis, Francis Benoit, um, Mike Menser, which is crazy. He's one of the best posers of all time. Just kind of crazy, but just the best of the best. And I tried to emulate them. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but I would watch how they flowed, and I just took that and just kind of made it my own thing. Obviously, with some help from my coach, and at the time, the owner of the gym, of my gym that I was going to. They were both kind of like helping me out, make my routine for my November 2020 show. And yeah, no, it was sick, dude. It was sick. That was probably one of my coolest routines. And then yeah, I took a break after that, and then I didn't compete until
The
Mr.
following year.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. America 2023. Yeah.
That's amazing. What orgs were those two shows that you did? Was it two shows your
Uh,
first season?
OCB. And
OCB.
I did a OCB Richmond Super Show, April. And
Mm-hmm.
then that same year, I did the OCB Mount Rogers. That's
Oh, wow.
a really local show from where I'm from. And my whole family and my friends were able to go and stuff. And it was cool. I was just shy of that OCB Pro card, man. But some beast showed up, man. Natty, I'll never forget you, man. You came in so shredded that I was like, I gave it everything I had, but obviously he was a clear winner that day, and I still had some growing to do and stuff. So yeah, I'm just still going after that, and then
So
I
yeah,
set
then you led into 2023, and then was Mr. America your first show that 2023 season?
hmm yeah. So I prepped from I did November show. I was just like chilling December. I was like, I'm not. I just did like a super hard diet and stuff. And from January, I bulked up until like July, and then we did a slow cut to Mr. America, and it was just me and my coach. We yeah, we gave it everything, man. We pushed so hard. Like, we were behind schedule. I was worried I was gonna come in, with excess fat. I was worried I was not gonna come in dry. I was worried like things were gonna be off, and everything I was worried about ended up being everything that put me in front of everybody else. So, you know, sometimes it's good to be a little hard on yourself.
So what drew you to do the Mr. America then?
Yes. Yes, I love that
You were
question.
you waiting for that question? You're like, is
Oh,
Dan gonna ask that
I
question?
love that question, man. Um, I was like, all right, I've done local shows. Okay. If I'm gonna prep for an entire year, if I'm gonna give up a whole year of my life, I stopped working, I stopped studying, I dedicated 100% of my energy to one show. And I was like, I need to do the best show possible. What is the coolest show? Like, what is the biggest show in natural bodybuilding? And I remembered like the year I got into bodybuilding, I found Joe Lacera. He was like
I know
teaching
Joe.
like classic posing and on like TikTok and stuff. And I used a lot of that to actually like learn how to pose. And I remember one year he posted like a competition with the American flag background, and I was like, "Yo, that is sick, dude!" So I did my research, and that was that was my goal. I tacked it with everything. I expected to be up there with freaking Nick Walker, dude. I was like, I gotta be able to beat Chris Bumstead himself, leading to that competition. And yeah, so I gave it everything. I gave it everything I had, and it paid off so strong, dude. I doubted myself so hard leading up to that show because it was such a like big step up in competition that I was like, there's no way I'm gonna win. Like I haven't won yet, so why would this be the one that I'm gonna win?
So obviously I know the result, but and you're alluding to the result. So, but for the listeners and viewers, which uh, what did you enter in that show? What category were you in? And then how did it go? And
Okay. So cool story about that. The show was October 7th. My birthday was October 3rd, so there was no cake. It was just like a little salmon, like with a little candle on it.
you a candle in it.
Yeah, yeah, sad but worth it. And yeah, so I entered the amateur classic physique class, and it was stacked, dude. There was like 15 dudes in my class, and they split it up between like heights, and I was in like class A with people under 6 foot, and then there was a class B with people over 6 foot, and yeah, that was the first show I've done where there was a pre-judging and like a finals. So like a pre-judging in the morning and then like, no water, watch for food because you got to go back out there for finals and stuff and actually put on the real competition, for that number one spot. And yeah, pre-judging happened. I gave it everything I had. People were telling me I need to make some small tweaks, just opening up my back a little bit more. And I took that, and from the hours between from prejudging to finals, I was posing like religiously. Like I was not like not posing. Like I was always just keeping in the headspace like, yo, we're gonna come out there better. We're gonna give it
Yeah.
all we got because I feel confident. I saw videos that people took on their phone of like my class and how I looked up there, and I was like, wow, I think I have a good chance of like, at least winning my class and going to finals and stuff. So, you know, come finals, they call out my class and I make it, I qualify for the finals and then I actually win my class. I win my class A. So I'm now in the finals, like up against like, all
The overall.
the
Yeah.
top. And I'm up there and I see the guy who wins class B. They put him right next to me. And I'm like, man, it's like this is not gonna be easy. I was like, I've seen this guy before. I watched the Mr. America the year before on YouTube like 1,000 times, man. And I was like, that's the guy. I was like, that's the same guy, dude. I'm like, he's giving it everything he has, so I have to give him the respect of giving it everything I have, you know. And they do our class, our comparisons. I'm confident. It's all prowess and it's a show. I'm up on that stage. I'm giving it everything I have, chin high, chest high, and just believing in myself. And then they take us off that stage. We come out for the posing routines. I pour my soul out on that stage. I tell a story, and yeah, I did that. Come the final results, they call third place is not me. So I'm like, man, I either didn't place or I'm second. And then the way they announce Mr. America winner is they announce right after third, they announce the winner. And I'm like looking up, I'm like, I can't believe like this is it. This is like what I've been waiting for all year, all day. And like I almost like want to cry, man. I'm like, like we finally made it to the end. And then they call my name. Man, I still haven't like processed it. I won Mr. America, man. Like after everything I've been through in my whole life, like I finally won something. like I've never won anything in my life, man. Like my life has beaten me down, like kept me down. Really held my head underwater because they knew I was gonna jump out, man, and it paid off. I won. Like I won the whole competition, and like I just couldn't believe it, man. I'm still like I still genuinely like it never settled in like ever. Like I just had to keep moving on because I couldn't get caught up in the big moment of winning something. Uh, but yeah, no, like I did it, man. I did it. So yeah, I am the 2023 amateur classic physique Mr. America.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, and I got to see you there and talk to you right afterwards, and you were over the moon, man. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to be able to even compete there. Like it's such a major stage. I saw the best. You know, the pros on that stage, they showed me. I was like, yo, I need a real off season because to be able to even compare to these guys, bro, like yeah, I gotta get better, man. Like I'm young. I just turned 21. I was like, these guys are like hitting 30. You know, I was like, these guys have been doing it for almost as long
yeah.
as I've been. So this next year and a half, I'm gonna train hard, dude. I'm gonna train hard and I'm gonna give it everything I have, and hopefully I can come back on here and on that pro stage and do well. You know, obviously I'm not gonna say I'm a winner or anything, but like I'm putting it in my head like I'm working for that number one spot, man. Uh,
Love it. And then you won. So with that show, you won your pro card. You had the option of a pro card, correct? Like which one you
yeah.
wanted. Which one did you select? Out of curiosity, which ones did you have options of? Because that's something
Um.
that's unique about the Mr. America that the amateur winner can win a
Yeah.
pro card from a selection of specific organization.
Yeah. So like it's a that's still in the process, but for me, I'm IPE, IPE. Like
IP.
that's my go-to, dude. Like I see that's where the best is. Like in my opinion, like that those IP like world championships, man, that natural Olympia, man. I'm like, yo, like I'm in that organization because like I'm not gonna train for anything less than the very best of natural bodybuilding right now. So yeah, I'm like an IPE guy for sure.
Okay.
IPE
Well, the
pro.
Natural Olympia is technically PNBA. IP
Oh,
has
okay.
IP Worlds, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, nice. But yeah, no, I'll
Yeah, I
be
think you
happy.
had the option, I think, of PNBA, IP, USBF. I might have missed one, but maybe
Something like
NGA.
that.
But yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Um, all great organizations. Honestly, I plan on competing, all around when I make my comeback. It's just that obviously, it's important to live life
Yeah.
like a human and prepare for like real life things.
So
So I'm
you're
studying.
taking this year off then from competing?
Yeah, this year from competing, uh, if I don't get in my head, because boy, do I want to get back out there. But
I
yeah, my family, my close friends
think
around
that
me.
you're in grow, man. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but it's hard, dude. It's hard because I love it. I love competing, man. I love putting together like routines. I love training for something. I love having that like regiment. But literally, like the preparation for competition, you can't do much else outside of that, unless you're like a freaking superhero and like can do everything. But for me, focusing on like sleeping, eating, or training, doing all my cardio, practicing my posing, all that takes freaking 15 hours of my day. Like that's I barely have enough time, for me to do anything else. But now I'm like working and stuff. I'm studying a lot, and I just got married back in uh yeah no October October of last year, and
That's a lot you had in October, man.
yeah, no, it was a beautiful year last year, man. I'm just grateful. I'm really grateful. Like nowadays, I'm so grateful. My whole outlook on life is different. I'm just so happy to be here, and I'm happy that I can make an impact on other people's lives to be better because I really needed that person. I needed someone to like look after, like be like, yo, like this person's like trying with everything they have, so I need to try, to do anything. So I try to be that, in my gym, all the young guys, all the young bucks, I'm like passing down the knowledge. I'm like, yeah, just keep going, man. Like the key is just never stopping, because if you keep going, you're only getting better. But when you give up, you stop, you get stuck there and you only fall behind. So it's just about give it everything you have. Just keep going forward, man.
Love
Yeah.
it, love it. We usually close with the message, so you jumped right on that before I even asked. You read my mind. But why don't we close with what are your future plans then? You kind of alluded to trying out different organizations. Do you plan to compete in 2025? What shows and orgs do you kind of have on your mind?
Hmm. I don't know if I want to say too much, but for
You know
sure.
what you want. Natty News Daily exclusive though.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm okay. I'll give it
I
another
assume that
run.
Mr. America would be on that list.
Yeah,
I think I
yeah,
can
for sure.
assume that one pretty relatively
Yeah.
confidently.
Just because it was such a honestly the best run show I've ever done. Like the quality was through the roof, like 10 times more than anything I've done beforehand.
They do things
So
really professionally there. They really do.
it's extremely like there's no corners cut. Like they make sure that every single aspect of the production, like being on stage, even the tanning, the pro tan, best tan I've ever had in my whole life. Like
Yeah.
I wish I could get a pro tan every single like show I do, man. Like they are number one by
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
Mark puts his heart and soul into that show. And there's a reason that we've partnered with, Mr. America and do the commentary every year and support. And yeah, it's awesome. So very cool.
I'm grateful for you guys. You guys make it even better than it already is, man. You guys are awesome.
Doing our small part, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Awesome. Awesome. And then anything else you want to reveal about your next season before we plug the socials?
No, 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 nothing else to worry about, man. I let other people have their fun. but uh, but yeah, no, just still just getting better every day, man. The job's never done. They're
Every day.
always getting a little bit better than yesterday, man. And yeah, no, for now I just have that on the radar. That's the main goal. But I might randomly pop in other shows. Who knows? Just
Might
keep
pop
it
out of
guarded.
nowhere.
But yeah, no, I'm grateful, happy to be here, man. It's just a blessing every single day. Just it's truly.
Love the positive attitude. So people want to follow you. Where can they find you? Where's the best place to find you, reach you?
All right. So my name is Gianluca Farrays, but you can find me on every single social at Gian the Don with two N's at the end. Um, I am the Don of Aesthetics, and I hold that title proudly. And yeah, my story's never done. I'm always getting a little bit better, man. It's only I have my whole life ahead of me, so I'm not gonna stop ever, like ever. So I'm gonna just keep on coming back, no matter how many times they try to knock me down.
Love it, man. Gianluca, thank you for coming on the podcast. Your story and everything is really inspiring. What the human body and spirit is capable of. So um, appreciate you sharing that, and hopefully some people got something out of it, and maybe it'll inspire somebody else coming up. So
Yeah,
um,
hopefully. Yeah. We need more. We need more of the best, man. I want the hardest competition when I'm at my very best, man. So give it everything you have, man. And thank you so much for having me. I am so
absolutely, brother.
grateful. Like I'm truly grateful, man. Thank you for giving me the space to tell my story because I'm gonna keep on telling it.
Happy to do so, man. Happy to do so, man. So, anyways, if you like this episode, give it a like, subscribe, give Gianluca a follow, Instagram, all over the place, and
Yo,
we'll catch you in the next episode.